Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to share with you a fundamental truth that separates those who merely dream from those who achieve discipline. It is the silent force that turns hope into reality, that transforms mere aspirations into tangible accomplishment. Discipline is not a choice for the few, nor is it a matter of luck. It is the very foundation of success. It is the unseen hand that guides us when passion fades, when the obstacles rise, and when the world seems determined to test our resolve. Discipline is the force that turns desire into action, dreams into plans, and plans into results. It is in the moments when you choose to push forward, even when every part of you tells you to stop, that you discover the power within. Today, I invite you to consider, what is it that you truly want in life? And are you willing to apply the discipline needed to make that dream a reality? The answer, I believe, will shape not just your future, but your legacy. Now let us dive into the heart of this truth. Discipline is everything. Discipline is the bridge between desire and achievement. This simple yet powerful truth is the starting point of every success story. Without discipline, desire is nothing more than a wish, a fleeting thought that lacks the necessary foundation to manifest into something real. Desire alone is powerful. It fuels our passion and drives us to dream big. But if we are to turn those dreams into reality, we must recognize that desire, no matter how intense, is not enough on its own. It is discipline that makes the difference. When we desire something, whether it's financial success, personal growth, or mastery of a particular skill, we are filled with excitement and energy. This energy propels us to take the first steps to make the initial efforts toward our goal. But soon after, the initial rush of enthusiasm begins to fade. The path becomes harder, the challenges seem more daunting, and the distractions multiply. This is the moment when many people give up, when they lose sight of the goal they once set out to achieve. But this is where discipline enters the picture, and it is precisely at this crossroads where the truly successful are distinguished from those who falter. Discipline is not the absence of temptation. Rather, it is the ability to rise above it. It is the ability to stay focused, to keep moving forward, even when everything around you seems to be pulling you in another direction. Discipline is the steady hand that guides you through the highs and lows, the ups and downs of the journey toward your goal. It is the commitment to keep going when others have abandoned the path, when circumstances seem to conspire against you. It is the ability to stick to the plan, even when it feels like progress is slow or invisible. You see, desire can be fleeting, but discipline is constant. Desire might spark your journey, but discipline will carry you across the finish line. Think of any great achiever in history, whether in business, sports, or the arts. Each of them began with a burning desire, a dream that filled their hearts with passion. But what set them apart was their willingness to do whatever it took, day after day, to bring that desire into reality. It was their commitment to the grind, their willingness to do the work, that turned their dreams into achievements. The vision of success may have been clear in their minds, but it was discipline that kept their hands and hearts in motion, even when the road ahead seemed uncertain. There is no magic formula for success, no shortcut to the top. The path to achievement is paved with hard work, consistency, and dedication, three qualities that are the direct result of discipline. It is discipline that compels you to wake up early, put in the hours, and continue learning, even when you don't see immediate results. It is discipline that forces you to prioritize long-term goals over short-term gratification, to delay pleasure now in order to enjoy greater rewards later. Discipline teaches you to endure, to push through resistance, and to keep your eyes on the prize no matter how long it takes. What makes discipline so powerful is its ability to compound over time. Every small, disciplined action you take builds upon the last, creating momentum that propels you forward. At first, progress may seem slow or even imperceptible. You may question whether all the effort is worth it. But remember, every step you take, no matter how small, brings you closer to your goal. As the saying goes, success is the sum of small efforts, repeated day in and day out. The power of discipline lies in its consistency. It is the daily, repeated actions that eventually lead to extraordinary results. Now, let us not confuse discipline with rigidity. Discipline does not mean blind obedience or mindless repetition. True discipline involves self-awareness and adaptability. It is about making choices that align with your long-term vision, even when the immediate temptation is to give in to easier, less rewarding options. It is about maintaining the focus to adjust your approach when needed, without losing sight of the ultimate goal. Discipline is about creating habits that serve your greater purpose rather than being driven by momentary impulses. Consider the discipline of a successful entrepreneur. At the outset, they may have an idea, a vision for their business. But to turn that vision into a thriving company, they must apply discipline in every aspect of their work, in product development, marketing, and financial management. They must discipline themselves to stay organized, to make tough decisions, and to maintain consistency even when the results are not immediately apparent. This unwavering commitment is what separates the ones who achieve success from those who abandon their dreams before they ever take off. The importance of discipline also extends to how we manage our time and energy. Time is a limited resource, and without discipline, we squander it on trivial tasks or distractions that do not contribute to our ultimate goals. Discipline teaches us to make choices that maximize our productivity, to prioritize the things that move us forward, and to eliminate the things that hold us back. Every disciplined action is an investment in our future. In the end, discipline is not something that is simply learned and applied for a short time. It is a way of life. It becomes a mindset, a way of thinking and acting that carries us through the toughest of times. It is the armor that shields us from the doubts, fears, and distractions that threaten to derail us. And when we consistently apply discipline, we begin to see that the bridge between desire and achievement is not some distant, elusive thing. It is something we can build every single day with every choice we make. So let us ask ourselves, every time we feel our commitment waver, will we let our desires remain unfulfilled, or will we cultivate the discipline to make them a reality? The choice is ours, and it is through the power of discipline that we will turn our dreams into achievements one step at a time. Self-control is the foundation of personal power. It is the invisible force that governs our actions, decisions, and ultimately our destiny. Without it, we are subject to the whims of our impulses, the distractions of our environment, and the pressures of the world around us. But with self-control, we gain the ability to direct our energy, focus our efforts, and align our actions with our deepest desires and goals. It is through self-control that we unlock the power to shape our future rather than being shaped by the circumstances of the present. When we speak of self-control, we are referring not just to the ability to resist temptation in the moment, but to a deeper, more profound strength, the power to stay true to our values, to our vision, and to our commitments. Regardless of the challenges we face, self-control is the muscle that allows us to push through adversity, to delay gratification, and to stay on course even when it seems easier to give in to instant pleasures or external pressures. It is the unwavering discipline that guides us toward what we truly want rather than what we merely desire in the short term. In the grand scheme of life, the ability to exercise self-control sets the achievers apart from the dreamers. Dreamers are often swept away by their emotions, by the highs and lows of life. They are driven by fleeting impulses, sometimes acting out of fear, sometimes out of excitement, and they allow these emotional waves to dictate their actions. Achievers, on the other hand, have learned to master their emotions. They understand that the key to their success lies not in the feelings of the moment, but in their ability to control how they respond to those feelings. They understand that what separates them from mediocrity is their power to choose how they act regardless of the circumstances. Self-control is, in many ways, the most important form of personal power we can cultivate because it is the foundation of all other forms of power. Without it, all other strengths, intelligence, creativity, talent are at risk of being squandered. It is easy to get caught up in the excitement of a new idea or goal, to feel motivated and inspired in the early stages of a project, but as time goes on, the initial thrill fades and the hard work begins. Without self-control, we will abandon our pursuits at the first sign of difficulty or discomfort, allowing our dreams to slip away. The person who cannot control their actions, their focus, and their energy is a person who will struggle to achieve anything of lasting value. One of the most significant aspects of self-control is the ability to resist immediate gratification in favor of long-term rewards. In a world where instant gratification is the norm, whether it's through social media, entertainment, or consumerism, it can be incredibly difficult to delay our desires for something greater down the road. However, it is precisely this ability to postpone gratification that allows us to build wealth, create lasting relationships, and develop skills that lead to mastery. Self-control means resisting the pull of the easy, the comfortable, and the quick fix. It means making choices that align with our long-term goals, even when the temporary rewards of instant gratification are tantalizing. Imagine a person trying to achieve financial independence. They may feel the urge to spend money on things that bring them temporary pleasure, such as the latest gadget or an extravagant vacation. But through the power of self-control, they resist these temptations and instead invest their money in assets that will grow over time, bringing them far greater rewards in the future. This decision, though challenging in the moment, requires strength, vision, and self-discipline. The person who consistently practices this level of self-control will build lasting wealth, while the person who gives in to immediate impulses will find themselves stuck in a cycle of short-term satisfaction and long-term regret. Self-control is also essential when it comes to managing our emotions. Every day, we are faced with situations that can trigger anger, frustration, fear, or anxiety. Our initial reaction may be to act impulsively, to lash out, or to retreat. But the individual who masters self-control learns to pause before reacting. They recognize that their emotions are temporary and they do not have to be governed by them. Instead of letting emotions dictate their actions, they allow their thoughts to guide them. This ability to manage emotions, whether in the face of conflict, stress, or adversity, creates a calm, collected individual who can think clearly and make decisions based on logic and reason rather than emotional reaction. This kind of emotional regulation is not just about suppressing feelings. It's about choosing how to respond to them. It's about cultivating a mindset that allows you to take a step back, assess the situation, and then decide on the most constructive course of action. The person who has mastered this form of self-control remains level-headed in the face of chaos and adversity. They are not easily swayed by external forces or emotional triggers. They are not subject to the whims of their feelings, but instead they control their feelings to ensure that their actions align with their values and goals. Self-control is also about resilience, the ability to persist through challenges without giving up or giving in. Life will undoubtedly present obstacles, setbacks, and hardships. It is in these moments that self-control becomes the most powerful tool in our arsenal. When faced with difficulty, it is easy to succumb to the desire to quit, to throw in the towel, or to take the easier, more comfortable path. But the person with self-control knows that perseverance is key. They understand that the path to success is not a straight line, but a series of twists and turns, each one offering an opportunity to grow stronger and wiser. Self-control is the inner strength that allows us to rise after every fall, to keep going when the road gets rough, and to stay true to our vision despite the obstacles in our way. Ultimately, self-control is about ownership. It is the realization that we are not victims of our circumstances, but masters of our own fate. When we practice self-control, we take full responsibility for our actions, our decisions, and the direction of our lives. We no longer allow external events or internal impulses to dictate who we are or where we're going. Instead, we empower ourselves to act with purpose, to create the life we desire, and to move forward with confidence and clarity. In conclusion, self-control is the bedrock upon which all other forms of personal power are built. It is the ability to make decisions that align with our long-term goals, to manage our emotions, and to persist in the face of challenges. It is the strength to resist the temptations of the moment and to stay focused on the bigger picture. Self-control is not just about what we avoid or restrain. It is about what we choose to create, what we choose to become. It is the most powerful form of personal power, for it gives us the freedom to shape our own destiny. Success is not accidental. It is structured by habit. This is a fundamental truth that many overlook. People often look at successful individuals and assume that they are simply lucky, that they were born with a unique talent, or that they stumbled upon success by chance. While talent and luck may play a small role, the true driving force behind sustained success is something far more reliable and within our control: habit. At its core, success is the product of consistent, intentional actions taken over time. The habits we form, whether they are conscious or subconscious, determine the trajectory of our lives. Every achievement, no matter how grand or modest, is the result of a series of small, seemingly insignificant decisions made repeatedly over time. It's the daily routines, the rituals, the thoughts, and the actions that build upon each other, gradually leading to significant outcomes. The key to understanding success, then, lies in recognizing that it's not about one big breakthrough, but rather the power of small, disciplined actions performed consistently. Consider the habits of the most successful people in the world, whether in business, sports, or any other field. They don't achieve their greatness by accident. They have developed habits that foster growth, productivity, and resilience. These habits are not based on luck or random events, but on a consistent commitment to doing the things that matter most. They wake up early, exercise, read, plan their days, work on their goals, and reflect on their progress. Each of these actions may seem small on its own, but when combined, they create a compounding effect that leads to extraordinary results. Take, for instance, the habit of reading. Many of the world's most successful leaders and entrepreneurs make reading a daily habit. Warren Buffett, for example, spends up to 80% of his day reading. It's not just the act of reading itself that is important, but the cumulative knowledge, insights, and ideas that he gains from it. By making reading a habit, he continuously feeds his mind with new perspectives and strategies that help him make better decisions. This habit, performed over years and decades, has contributed to his success in the business world. Habits are the foundation of success because they shape our behavior. What we do every day, often without thinking, determines who we become over time. Our daily actions, the things we do routinely, are the building blocks that structure our future. This is why it is so important to be intentional about the habits we cultivate. We must ask ourselves, what are the habits I am forming today, and how are they shaping my future? Successful people understand the importance of aligning their daily habits with their long-term goals. They don't wait for motivation to strike. Instead, they create systems that make success inevitable. By making good habits automatic, they remove the need for constant willpower. For example, a person who wants to get fit doesn't rely on motivation to work out every day. Instead, they make exercise a non-negotiable part of their routine. Over time, it becomes a habit that requires little thought or effort. The same principle applies to other aspects of life, whether it's eating healthy, saving money, or improving skills. Success is simply the byproduct of making the right habits a part of our daily life. The key to understanding the role of habit in success is recognizing the concept of habit stacking. This is the idea that small, positive habits, when stacked together over time, can lead to extraordinary results. For instance, a person who wakes up early every day might use that time to read, meditate, and plan their day. These habits work together, creating a productive and intentional start to their day. Over time, these habits compound, leading to increased knowledge, clarity, and focus. As these habits build upon one another, they create a powerful momentum that propels the individual toward success. But not all habits are created equal. Some habits are more conducive to success than others. The key is to focus on the habits that will have the greatest impact on your goals. For example, someone who wants to build a successful business might develop habits such as setting clear goals, prioritizing tasks, networking, and learning from mentors. These habits, when practiced consistently, will provide the structure and discipline needed to achieve long-term success. On the flip side, bad habits can undermine our efforts and keep us from reaching our potential. Habits such as procrastination, negative self-talk, and poor time management can have a detrimental impact on our progress. If we're not careful, these habits can take root in our lives and steer us away from our goals. The good news is that just as habits are powerful forces that can lead to success, they are also powerful forces that can be changed. If we recognize that our habits are not aligned with our desired outcomes, we have the power to replace them with habits that are more productive and supportive of our goal. The process of changing a habit is not always easy, but it is entirely possible. The key is to start small and be consistent. It takes time to rewire the brain and create new neural pathways, but with persistence and patience, new habits can take hold. Once a new habit is established, it becomes automatic, just like the old habits. This is why it's so important to be mindful of the habits we are cultivating today, because they will become the foundation of our future success. One of the greatest challenges to forming good habits is the temptation of instant gratification. In a world of distractions and constant stimuli, it can be easy to choose short-term pleasure over long-term gain. But successful people understand that true fulfillment comes from delayed gratification, the ability to resist the pull of immediate rewards in favor of greater long-term success. The discipline to say no to distractions and stay focused on the habits that matter is what creates the structure for success. Success is not a fluke or a random event. It is a process. It is the result of making small, consistent efforts over time. It is the compounding effect of good habits cultivated and nurtured every day. If we want to achieve something truly remarkable, we must start by focusing on our habits. What we do consistently shapes who we are and who we become. Therefore, if we want to achieve success, we must structure our lives around the habits that will lead us there. It is through habit that success is not just possible, but inevitable. Discipline transforms failure into feedback. At first glance, failure might seem like a setback, something to avoid or be discouraged by, but when viewed through the lens of discipline, failure becomes a powerful tool for growth. Discipline is not just about doing things right. It is about the ability to persist and learn, even when things don't go as planned. It's about taking every setback and using it as an opportunity to improve. The truth is, success is rarely a straight path. It is full of twists, turns, and bumps along the way. And the most successful people are those who learn how to turn failure into fuel for their future success. Failure is inevitable. Everyone, no matter how skilled or accomplished, faces it at some point. What separates those who succeed from those who give up is how they respond to failure. A person without discipline may view failure as a sign of defeat, something that proves they are not good enough, and they may choose to walk away. On the other hand, a person with discipline understands that failure is simply part of the process. They see failure not as a reflection of their abilities, but as a valuable lesson, a piece of feedback that will guide them to do better next time. The key to transforming failure into feedback is the ability to remain objective and detached from the emotional weight of the situation. When we experience failure, it's natural to feel frustration, disappointment, or even embarrassment. But discipline teaches us to move past these emotions and focus on the facts. Instead of dwelling on what went wrong or allowing negative emotions to dictate our response, discipline helps us step back and analyze the situation logically. What went wrong? Why did it happen? What can I learn from this experience that will make me better prepared next time? A person who lacks discipline might react impulsively, blaming external factors or other people for their failure. They may focus on the negativity, allowing self-pity or anger to take over. But the disciplined individual doesn't waste time on these emotions. They understand that there's no value in complaining or blaming. Instead, they look at failure as an opportunity to adjust their approach, refine their skills, and increase their chances of success in the future. This level of emotional maturity is what makes discipline such a crucial aspect of long-term success. What discipline does is foster resilience, the ability to get back up after a setback. When you are disciplined, you don't let a single failure stop you. You use it as a stepping stone, a way to sharpen your skills, your strategies, and your mindset. Discipline helps you understand that failure is not permanent. It is a temporary state that can always be improved upon. Failure becomes a teacher, and you become a student, always learning, always improving. Think about the greatest minds in history. Thomas Edison, for instance, famously encountered countless failures before inventing the light bulb. He didn't give up after the first few attempts. He learned from each failure and refined his process. Each setback was a lesson, a piece of feedback that told him what didn't work and helped him find what would. His disciplined persistence is what ultimately led to his success. He didn't see failure as something to be feared or avoided. He saw it as part of the learning curve, a necessary step toward achieving his goal. The disciplined individual also understands that failure doesn't mean they are on the wrong path. Often failure is simply a sign that we need to tweak our approach, improve our techniques, or reconsider our strategy. It's not an indication that our dreams are unachievable or that we are not capable. On the contrary, failure is a sign that we are pushing ourselves, trying new things, and venturing outside of our comfort zone. If we never fail, it means we're not challenging ourselves enough. True growth happens when we step out of the safety of the familiar and attempt something difficult. And when we do fail, discipline enables us to take the experience and turn it into a lesson rather than a defeat. An important part of this transformation is the habit of reflection. Discipline teaches us to not just move on after a failure, but to take the time to reflect on what happened. When we reflect, we do more than just look at the surface. We dig deeper, asking ourselves what we could have done differently, what we can improve on, and how we can adapt. This reflection allows us to identify patterns, recognize weaknesses, and uncover new insights that can make us better in the future. Without discipline, reflection becomes an afterthought, and we miss the opportunity to turn failure into something useful. Another aspect of discipline in dealing with failure is the ability to stay focused on the long-term vision despite setbacks. When you are disciplined, you are less likely to get discouraged by a single failure because you are not solely focused on short-term results. You keep your eye on the big picture. If you let a single failure derail you, it means you are too focused on the immediate outcome rather than the journey. Discipline helps you remember that success is a marathon, not a sprint. The road to achieving your goals will be filled with obstacles, but the key is to keep going, adjusting your approach, and refining your skills along the way. The ability to transform failure into feedback also requires a growth mindset, the belief that our abilities and intelligence can be developed with effort and perseverance. A person with a growth mindset sees failure as a natural part of the learning process. They are not discouraged by mistakes. They welcome them as opportunities to learn and grow. This mindset is cultivated through discipline. The disciplined individual understands that success is not about avoiding mistakes, but about continuously improving, even in the face of adversity. They know that feedback, whether positive or negative, is essential for progress. Discipline, therefore, is not just about working hard or following a set of rules. It's about developing the mental toughness to handle failure with grace, the wisdom to extract valuable lessons from every setback, and the patience to keep going, knowing that success is built on the foundation of continuous improvement. In this way, failure becomes an integral part of the process, not something to fear or shy away from. In conclusion, discipline transforms failure into feedback by teaching us how to respond to setbacks with resilience, reflection, and a commitment to growth. It allows us to see failure as a stepping stone rather than a stumbling block. With discipline, failure becomes a tool, a source of valuable information that can guide us toward our goals. The disciplined individual embraces failure, learns from it, and emerges stronger and wiser, ready to face the next challenge. Failure in the hands of the disciplined is never a permanent defeat, but a temporary feedback that propels us closer to success. Without discipline, talent is wasted potential. Talent is a remarkable gift. It is the raw material that can lead to extraordinary achievements. Whether it's natural intelligence, creativity, athletic ability, or artistic flair, talent gives us the foundation to accomplish great things. However, talent alone is rarely enough to guarantee success. Without discipline, that talent can remain dormant, unrefined, and underdeveloped, never reaching its full potential. Discipline is the force that transforms raw talent into skill, and skill into success. Talent without discipline is like an unpolished diamond. It may shine in certain circumstances, but without the careful attention and persistence needed to bring out its brilliance, it will remain hidden beneath the surface. Discipline is what refines talent, hones it, and shapes it into something extraordinary. Without discipline, even the most talented individual can falter, miss opportunities, or waste the gifts they've been given. The first aspect of this truth lies in the simple fact that talent on its own doesn't produce results. Many people are born with incredible potential, but they don't achieve anything significant because they fail to put in the necessary work. Talent is a great starting point, but success is built on consistent effort. And that's where discipline comes into play. Discipline is what drives us to show up day after day, even when the initial excitement fades and the path becomes difficult. Talent might make a task easier at the outset, but it is discipline that ensures progress is made even when things don't come easily. For example, consider a person with a natural gift for playing the piano. They may have an exceptional ear for music, a quick ability to learn new pieces, and an innate sense of rhythm. However, without the discipline to practice regularly, to push through mistakes, and to refine their technique, their talent will never develop into mastery. They may play well for a time, but eventually their progress will plateau. In contrast, a person with less inherent musical ability, but a great deal of discipline and a strong work ethic, will likely outperform the talented individual over time. The disciplined person will put in the hours, tackle challenges head-on, and refine their craft through repetition and perseverance. Over time, their consistency and commitment will allow them to surpass the talented person who never cultivated discipline. Another key element is that talent often comes with an inherent sense of confidence, sometimes even overconfidence. A naturally talented person may feel that their ability should be enough to guarantee success, and they may not see the need for discipline. They may skip practice, avoid challenging themselves, or take shortcuts, believing that their innate skills will carry them through. But this approach is short-sighted. Without discipline, talent will not be enough to overcome the inevitable obstacles that arise on the path to success. There will always be challenges, competition, or circumstances that require more than just raw ability to succeed. Talent alone cannot carry someone through these hurdles. Discipline is the true differentiator, the quality that allows a person to rise above difficulties and continue pushing forward. It's important to recognize that talent is not always obvious. Some people may appear to have little to no talent, but their commitment to disciplined practice and learning allows them to outperform others in the long run. Consider the example of professional athletes. While some athletes may be born with physical gifts, others achieve greatness through sheer determination and discipline. Michael Jordan, often regarded as the greatest basketball player of all time, was famously cut from his high school basketball team. His talent was undeniable, but it was his relentless work ethic, his discipline to constantly improve, and his drive to get back up after every failure that ultimately led him to greatness. His story is a testament to the fact that talent is not enough without the commitment to develop it. Talent can also lead to complacency if it is not constantly nurtured and pushed to new heights. A talented individual who relies solely on their natural ability may become complacent, believing that they don't need to work as hard as others. This complacency can be the greatest enemy of success. Success requires ongoing effort and growth, and without the discipline to continue evolving, even the most gifted individuals can fall behind. It's easy to become satisfied with being good enough, but true excellence is achieved only by those who are willing to put in the effort, no matter how talented they may be. Discipline also helps manage the inevitable failures and setbacks that every talented person will face. Talent can make initial successes come more easily, but failure will come for everyone, regardless of how gifted they are. When a talented person faces failure without discipline, they may give up, become discouraged, or simply lack the focus to try again. On the other hand, a disciplined person will view failure as a part of the process, an opportunity to learn, improve, and grow stronger. They understand that success is not linear and that every setback is simply a stepping stone toward achieving their goals. It is through this mindset, combined with discipline, that talent is fully realized and developed. Moreover, talent without discipline often lacks direction. Someone with raw talent may not know how to channel their abilities effectively, and without discipline, they may struggle to focus their efforts toward a specific goal. Discipline brings structure and clarity, helping a person focus their energy on the things that matter most. It helps to prioritize tasks, eliminate distractions, and build a framework for success. Without discipline, even the most talented individual may scatter their efforts trying to do everything at once and never achieving true mastery in any one area. The disciplined individual, by contrast, understands the value of incremental progress. They break their goals down into manageable tasks and consistently work toward them. They measure progress not by comparing themselves to others, but by the improvement they see in their own abilities over time. This methodical, focused approach is what allows talent to flourish. It ensures that talent isn't wasted, but instead cultivated, refined, and fully realized. In the end, it's clear that without discipline, talent is wasted potential. Talent is the spark, but discipline is the fuel that keeps the fire burning. Discipline is what allows talent to be developed and harnessed, turning it into something greater than its initial promise. Success is not reserved for the most talented. It is reserved for those who are willing to show up every day, put in the work, and push through the challenges. Talent without discipline remains just a gift, but talent combined with discipline can lead to greatness. It is the commitment to discipline that transforms talent into achievement and potential into success. In conclusion, discipline is the key that unlocks the full potential of talent. Without it, even the most gifted individuals may find themselves stuck, unable to reach the heights their abilities suggest they could. Talent, while important, is nothing without the persistence, consistency, and focus that discipline provides. It is discipline that ensures talent is developed, refined, and applied effectively, turning raw potential into real success. The journey from talent to achievement requires more than just innate ability. It requires a mindset committed to growth, a willingness to push through setbacks, and a dedication to consistently improve. Talent can open the door to opportunity, but discipline is what allows you to walk through it and achieve lasting success. The greatest achievers in history didn't rely solely on their gifts. They understood that discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. So, If you have talent, recognize its value, but also recognize that without the unwavering commitment to discipline, your potential will remain just that, potential. If you are willing to put in the work, embrace the setbacks as opportunities for growth, and remain dedicated to refining your skills, your talent will transform into something truly extraordinary. Remember, it is discipline that takes you from dreaming to doing, from potential to achievement, and from good to great.